2020 was my first year mountain biking, and while I still have a lot to learn, I did pick up a few lessons over the course of the year. In this video, I'm going to review some of them, mostly just to remind myself of their importance. But if you're a newer rider too, I hope you might find some of these things helpful. Number 1, look where you want to go. This means keeping your head up, looking down the trail, not staring at obstacles or at your front wheel. Looking where you're going might seem obvious, but it's not, and it's surprisingly easy to form bad habits. For example, here's some slow-mo footage of me practicing the bunny hop. Take a look at where my head is pointed while I'm in the air. Not a good habit. Honestly, I think not looking ahead probably slowed me down more than any other single mistake. Eventually, I assume it becomes second nature, but for now, it's something I definitely need to stay conscious of. Number 2, slower is not easier. A lot of times over the year when I struggled with a particular feature or section, the answer ended up being just to hit it faster.
Oh God. Okay, well that ain't it.
Obviously, there are limits to this, and taking it too far would be dangerous. But I got better when I realized, with some help from you YouTube commenters, that trying to tackle obstacles at an extremely slow speed wasn't taking it easy. That taking it slow was actually making it harder. Number 3, progress happens after you want to give up. So I mentioned my bunny hop earlier. It never quite made it into a full video, mostly because I don't think I have much to add to the billion bunny hop videos that are already out there. But I will say this, every breakthrough moment I had while trying to learn to bunny hop came after 45 minutes of riding in circles, doing the same thing over and over again and failing until I wanted to quit. This has been pretty true of other skills I've been working on too. It's when I push past that point of frustration that I end up making progress. Realizing that has made the frustrating bits a little bit less frustrating. Like learning any skill in any discipline, I guess, failing is just part of the process. Number 4, don't push it when your mind's not right. The previous lesson is about working on bike skills in your front yard, so it's okay to push it in that context. But out on the trail, pushing it when you're in a bad headspace is just a recipe for disaster. Particularly early on, I'd have these rides where I went in with a specific goal, but then I screwed up somehow, got frustrated, and then it'd just spiral until I was making all kinds of dumb mistakes. Over time, I realized sometimes it's better just to call it a day or dial it back and worry about that goal or that feature some other time. Number 5, always warm up. As some of you probably remember, I learned this lesson the hard way this year at Mount Abraham. More recently, I kind of learned it at Highland too. We went there this fall, and while I never crashed, I also didn't have a lot of fun. I felt like I was coming in cold on every single ride because of the long lift lines and the time you spend sitting there. Maybe some people can step onto the bike and shred right out of the gate, but I need to warm up, get into a rhythm, and stay in that rhythm. That's why, as weird as it sounds, I've learned that I actually prefer a climbing trail to the lift at bike parks. Number 6, trust your gut. Thankfully, this isn't a lesson I learned the hard way.
Oh shit. That's actually not too bad. That's kind of flat coming into it. Let's just roll down the side here. Ooh.
I was able to avoid any really serious injury this year, I think, in part because I did listen to my gut, and I often walked away from stuff if I just wasn't feeling it in the moment. The challenge with this, I think, is that when you're staring down a tough feature, it can be hard to tell the difference between listening to your gut and giving in to fear. Are you nervous about doing something just because it's new and scary, or is it because it's really above your skill level and you shouldn't be trying it? It's not always easy to tell the difference. Different people have different levels of acceptable risk, but for me, I'm always going to err on the side of walking away anytime I'm not sure. Number 7, ride downhill trails to get faster. Okay, that sounds obvious. Yeah, downhill trails are faster, but that's not what I mean. I mentioned this in a previous video, but a day after my first visit to Mount Abram Bike Park, I smashed about 15 different PRs at Bradbury Mountain, on trails I'd ridden dozens of times before. And I hadn't even been thinking about PRs, let alone trying to break them. Bradbury is primarily cross-country tech, but I honestly think spending time on those downhill trails the day before is what did it. Downhill trails are great for building confidence being on the bike at speed, and that can then make you faster on any kind of trail. So, those are some of the important things that I learned last year. I'm sure the trails, and perhaps some of you folks in the comments, have a lot more to teach me in the coming year, and I'm excited to learn. Let's start with this. Let me know in the comments what your biggest and most important trail lessons have been. Did you learn anything new in 2020? Anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out some of my other videos too. I also hope you have a chance to get outside and ride, and I'll see you next week.